Okay, this is BHP, and the guys from the trade guide, I did their VSA webinar last night, so I've been inspired to use their software. I already had it, but I normally use Pro Realtime for my drawing. But anyway, so with BHP, that was a pretty good webinar too. They're going to have another one in a couple of weeks, and if you missed this one, I think they were going to put one up on YouTube. But you can go back and have a look at that. It's just explaining VSA principles. I think next week they will be doing some more. They did a couple of stock, but next week they'll be doing more of the ASX stocks and analysing them. But anyway, here we go. Here's BHP. We've got the first thing we notice is the longer term trend is up. I've got this nice uptrending channel, even though it's been going down a while. Down here we do have a bottom trend line there that's been holding, which corresponds with these upper tops, so that gives us a nice little channel there. And at the moment we're close to the bottom of that channel, so we're looking for some VSA principles to see if there's a possible entry there. So we'll just zoom in on that, and you can see this high volume up bar. It actually did BHP as well, and which was good, but I'll just zoom in on the action now. We do have the high volume up bar there where they sold into huge demand, and it's come off. And as it's come closer to this bottom line, we do see volume picking up and price closing on its highs. And I think we do have an area of line previous. Oh, that's way below us. We do have, in this last move down, we've had this increased volume as it's come down, and we've had and then prices continued increasing, and it's reversed it. So there's some buying back here. It looks like there that it's come straight back on top of the close of our bar from 4 weeks back. So I think I pointed this out last week on the daily. If we look at the daily for BHP, there's a huge up bar that got sold off. It's just, the price has just been going down ever since. But as we come down here, we get this we get volume start increasing over here, and I'll just shift this along a bit so we can that's the trend channel on the daily, that we're starting to approach that line there. Let's get rid of some of those volume bars so I can scale it. Now we get the price comes down really hard here, but very narrow spreads, and the volume is very high. So there's buying coming into there. There has to be buying coming into there. Volume persists. It goes down, still goes down, but it doesn't go a lot lower. And then when it does collapse, it's on very light volume, and then that springs up. So there's very little supply. A lot of that supply has been absorbed in these two bars. So there's buying there. That looks like it tested down into a previous area of buying, and then that's caused this little rally to get up. But as we get to the top here, we notice there's no demand, so they're still interested in price around this level. So that move up hasn't been supported, and you can see that as it's going up, these no demand bars. No demand is price going up on very light volume, and it's had to come back down. And what they've done is, what I noticed last week is there's a high volume up bar where they're buying. Let me as we come in, we get very light volume, so they're testing in that area, and then we have this really nice test come down, mark into that high volume bar, and that was a very good. That's a very nice test. That's a sign of strength there. That's where we want to see our that is where we want to see our buying, those test bars on top of the previous area of buying. During the week it did pop up. We do have a no demand bar here on Thursday, so they weren't ready to take that high yet, and so you'll notice it's the lowest volume in 3 bars, fairly narrowish spread, closing in the middle, so there's no demand. That's confirmed by price closing down the next day. Yesterday, Friday, was an interesting day. If you're looking on the intraday, they gapped it right up here, really high volume, and then they just drove it down. It just collapsed. They were selling into all that news from Greece. So people were buying the news, but smart money was selling it this day at least anyway. So they'll just have to see what they do. What I would expect is they'll come back. They may try and come back and retest closer to this uptrending channel here. I've drawn this other little uptrending channel here as a what if. So connecting these two lower pivots. So that might be an interesting area to watch. But we do have some signs of strength coming in after this buying. We've had all this cluster of buying down the bottom here, here and here and here. And our highest volume bar is that one, so I've marked that off. And so anything coming down towards that area or towards this trend line, we're looking for very light volume testing, and that could be that could start giving us a nice some nice long positions for a change. And we've got the top of this channel to have a look at. We've got our last pivot point at the $44.90, $45 we've got to be wary of. But yeah, we are in the longer term trend channel is up, and as we've approached that bottom trend line, we are starting to see some sign of something, some testing, some buying, definitely buying in this area and testing there. So anyway, that's BHP. I'll have a look at this is ANZ. As you can see, it's been going sideways for quite a while now, and it's been actually going down since March. And what can we see here? You can see our area of where this last big lot of volume here, where the price has crashed down. This is the weekly, by the way. Now there was buying in the bottom of, even though it's a down bar, see it's on very high volume, and price closed up next. So there must have been buying in the bottom of this bar. As you can see, as we've come down and approached this bar, we've started getting a response. And if I just draw some horizontal lines, I'll do one on the close there, roughly around the 22. I'm pretty sure that's around the 22 cents. So just round it off. And so there's buying in that bar, and it's come down again, and there's more buying down in this third bar after it. So there's buying in the bottom here that's shifted the market up. And now if I mark off the bottom of this bar, we're sort of constrained within the range at the moment of the closes of these two buying bars. So it's a very interesting area to watch at the moment. I'll just zoom in just to show you that the bigger trend or the smaller trend, we are in this downtrending channel here, and we've been sort of tracking within the trails of the quarter lines of the channel recently. But you can see this is our buying bar here, where it's come down, high volume, closed in the middle. So they're buying that bar definitely. And then prices continue to go down because plenty of supply, obviously. and we get a very nice low volume. Well, it depends what you're doing. If it's nice, it's low volume. It's come down, tested in the previous area of supply from back there, and it's and it's very, the volume is drying up, which means supply is running down. As it's after this buying bar, it's sort of started to pull up a bit. This bar over here, narrow spread, that's a no demand bar. So it looks like, now I think Mick here on hot copper was suggesting they might be accumulating under there, and that could be quite possible because this bar is a bullish bar. They're definitely buying that bar there, and that's pulled it up. And but they haven't been ready to take it higher, so it could possibly be they're just keeping it under there and using the news from Greece to keep it suppressed and just soak up the supply. And definitely the last couple of weeks there's been very little supply. See, this has dropped a fair way, but it's dropped on nothing, very little. The worrying thing is the next bar has gone up on nothing. But I think if you look at the two bars together, you could almost say there's like a little bit of a shake up there, but no one's actually selling it. There's no selling, and we've come back into this area where they've been buying before, so it's an interesting area to watch now. So they may possibly be waiting for Thursday, which is options expiry day. I think it's triple witching next week, because if they're buying there, you can bet as it's going down they're not losing money, because they'll be selling calls against their position and doing all sorts of things while it's being suppressed. But we've got to be careful because we are still in the downtrend, and we are assuming now that's what's going on based on this bar here. And so the chart isn't giving us any permission to go long because we're still in a downtrend channel. What we want to do is see price get above this area and then some low volume testing. I'll just have a zoom in on the daily. Oops, I've got a downtrending channel there. There's a really bullish. See, they're definitely buying here. See this, how this has come down on really fast, really hard on volume, but they started closing off their lows. As it's come down, they're starting to close off their lows, and we get this really high volume up bar here. So there's definitely buying in there, but there's no interest in taking this higher. See, we get a no demand bar there, low volume. They're not interested in taking this higher yet, and it's come down. Every time it's come into this area, it's been knocked down. We've got see these narrow spreads, so there's no interest. You've got to remember there's plenty of supply in this that's been in this downtrend here, which we've sort of broken sideways out of. There's plenty of supply there. Now they've been buying it, but that doesn't mean that the supply is not there present. Unless they keep supporting the price going up, it can't rise. It can't overcome this weakness unless they support it. Now we are starting to see that was a very nice low volume test. Looks like it was testing, but you have to argue it was testing from way back. But it's very light volume certainly, and the price responded by going up, and that sort of shifted it up in this little trend channel. It's come down. The only worry about these last moves up is, see that bar there on Thursday, how it's gone up. Look at the volume. There's very little in it. Now it has gapped up again, but we're now in this area where they've been before they've been suppressing the price. Well, they haven't been interested in taking it higher. It's got up into that area now, gapped up into there, but it's closed in the middle. There wasn't actually a long trade in there. If you had enough money to make money out of the spread, there was a long trade on the intraday on ANZ, but they've sold it. It got sold later on in the day. So that's closed off its increased volume, but closed in the middle. So that's a sign of weakness in this area. So what we want to see, for a strong up move, Now they could be accumulating there. You're right. They possibly they could be. We don't know. And you know, they say buy when there's blood on the streets, and that can be quite good too. But you don't want to be looting all the shops in the middle of the air raid either. You might want to wait for the air raid to be over before you start doing some looting. And what we want to see is for this price to get above this buying area here, and then some low volume retesting back into that area. You want to see the opposite basically of what we're seeing now. Which here we're seeing low volume coming up, no demand bars coming up into this area. There was one right there, beautiful one short. We want to see, but we want to see those retracing back down. We also got to be wary. We still got this upper trend line here that'll be resisting the price as well. So anyway, so very interesting to keep a look on, to watch for, but you've got to be very wary now because these we've had a weak bar and then we've followed up by another weak bar. They've gapped it up on the news. Apparently there was some good news from Greece. The FTSE had a good day, so they've gapped that up, but it hasn't gone very far after the open, and we are in this area here where they've been selling it. We need to break out of there. But anyway, that's ANZ.